Thank you for the question. So, starting with the vegan diet, now, first to understand that why is the reason why people want to go vegan. There could be two possible reasons to this. One is from a health perspective, and the second reason is from an ethical perspective. That some people do want to go vegan because they do not want to harm animals in a process to get food for themselves or clothes for themselves, etc. So this is one perspective, but the one that is more popular right now is people think that going vegan is going to solve all their diseases, going to make them lose weight, and so on and so forth. So our human body is a very complex machine that works in a different way for every single person. So there is no single diet that is going to be okay for everybody. Every body has different nutrient requirements. So there's not one diet that can serve all of that. So, coming to the vegan diet, now vegan diet means that you can only eat things which come from plants, only plant-based things. So, anything coming from animals, be it eggs, chicken, fish, milk, cheese, etc., none of these things are allowed. So, the major nutrients that could be that need to be taken care of in a better way if you are going vegan, especially from a women's health point of view, are firstly iron, because anemia is such a common concern in our country that one in every three women who menstruate is anemic, and this number hasn't changed for decades now. And WHO has one of its main goals that they want to reduce anemia by 2025. And the iron which is present in plant-based foods is called non-heme iron, which is the type of iron which is not as easily absorbed by our body as animal-based iron is absorbed. So if you are planning to go vegan, it is not that you cannot manage to get enough iron from your diet, but you have to get it planned very well so that you do not lack enough iron in your diet and you do not become anemic in the process of becoming a vegan. And if you are doing it for ethical purpose, it is always okay to take a supplement if you are not meeting your need from the food itself. The second nutrient which is very important and does not is not present abundantly in vegan food is vitamin B12, which is also important in women's health. So if you are, it is present in fermented fruits, sprouted foods, and pickled foods, etc. But if you are not eating these particular items in abundance, and if you are not getting enough B12 and you are going vegan, then you also need to make sure that you take a supplement for this, because B12 is also one of the components which controls the formation of your RBCs and in turn can make you anemic if you are deficient in vitamin B12. The next vitamin which I would say vegans need to be careful about is omega-3 fatty acids. Now, PCOS is a disorder which affects 1 in every 5 menstruating women. Endometriosis is a less heard disease which affects 1 in every 10 women. And in these particular diseases, there is inflammation in your body which gives rise to more discomfort and more progression of the disease. And to reduce this particular inflammation, a woman needs to eat more anti-inflammatory things. Omega-3 fatty acids are known to be a great anti-inflammatory nutrient, which is present more in the animal based foods than in vegan foods. The only vegan sources are flax seeds, walnuts, etc., which do need to get converted in your body to make sure you get enough of it. So again, if you have some diseases which require anti-inflammatory foods, then you have to plan it in a better way. And last but not the least, which is getting more popularity now, is proteins. Now, vegan diet, if you are on a vegan diet, you need to plan your protein intake well in a way that you pair your grains with pulses or grains with nuts to make sure that you are eating complementary proteins that make them very good quality. All the animal-based proteins are complete by themselves, but if you are eating plant-based proteins, you need to eat them in combination of a grain and pulse. For example, dal and rice, or bread and some pulse, like in case of misal pav, or idli and sambar, which is rice and dal. So these are the combinations in which you can get a lot of good quality protein. So these particular nutrients, if you take care of them, then you can be on a vegan diet. But just because it worked for somebody else and you're just trying to copy what worked for someone else, that may not exactly work for you. So if you want to go vegan and still stay healthy, get it planned from a qualified person is what I would say. Yes, thank you for that question. Now, due to the pandemic and the situation where we are working from home, it has become becomes slightly easier to give ourselves a little more time to be able to manage both the front. But it's still incredibly difficult for most women to give themselves enough time. So when it comes to taking care of one's health, we tend to, because women are generally such perfectionists that we want to be perfect at anything that we take up. It is an all or none approach that, if I go to the gym, I want to do the full 1 hour and finish the session very strong. But if I can't go for that one whole hour, then I do nothing at all. So I would say when it comes to starting to look after your health better or starting your health journey, there are five things that, five simple factors that everybody needs to concentrate on. And it doesn't take a lot of time to be able to do this every day. First most important thing is hydration. That just drinking enough water can change your health in a great way. Be it losing weight, be it managing your anemia or blood pressure, be it managing, your hunger pangs, and a lot of different things get controlled if you just drink enough water. So this is one thing that does not take any effort, and you don't have to start. If you are at 1 liter right now, it's not like from tomorrow you have to start drinking 3 liters. You can just try to increase 1 glass of water every single week, and that is going to help you a lot in the long run. The second aspect, first was hydration. The second aspect is sleep. Now, it doesn't take much effort to sleep for most people. At least if you are healthy, then it shouldn't take much effort for you to sleep. And just having a healthy sleep routine. By healthy sleep routine, I mean going to bed early, not at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock at night, and getting a good 7 to 8 hours of sleep is what can change your health as well. A lot of hormonal imbalance is also due to the fact that our sleep is not okay. Our body is meant to work with the nature as per the circadian rhythm. Our hormones are designed in the way that they start to increase in the morning when the sun rises, and they start to decrease in the evening after the sun sets. Now, if we try to go against this rhythm and keep working late at night or keep sleeping late in the morning, we are going against the rhythm. So just by having a good sleep routine, which does not take a lot of time for you, you can reset your health. The third factor, which most women ignore, is stress. Now, stress is also highly correlated with your hormones. And to get your hormones under control, we often look at weight loss, we look at different pills which are hormone therapy, or we look at different diets and exercise, etc. But we don't look at stress. A lot of female issues are psychosomatic, which means they start more at the psychological level and then manifest at a physical level. So a lot of diseases like PCOS, for example, can start just because of stress. So unless you address the root cause, you're not going to solve the disease. So give yourself at least half an hour every single day where you do some de-stressing ritual. It can be meditation, it can be listening to music, it can be dancing, it can just be going out for a walk or making some art, whatever you enjoy, but give yourself that time to de-stress. These are the first three factors. The next factor is physical activity. Again, when it comes to balancing multiple responsibilities, one thing that takes the backstage is physical activity. That this is not an absolute must. Making food is an absolute must, but moving is not an absolute must. One can do without movement is what we believe. So if on a particular day, if you don't think you can give it that much time, at least walk around, at least stretch a little, or do yoga for at least 15 to 20 minutes. There is never a day when you can't give yourself those 15 minutes. So it doesn't have to be an hour-long session in the gym. It can just be 15 minutes of movement, but give yourself that time so that you handle your health in a better way. And the fifth and the last one, which we think is the most important, is nutrition. Nutrition is just the one factor out of the five main factors. Now, a lot of times we see that women adjust all the cooking that gets done in the house as per the nutritional needs of everybody else but themselves. So you also need to make sure that you figure out what is your nutritional need as per your diseases, health status or goals, and stick to that, and make sure that everybody around you knows what is your need. Often women know what is everybody's need, but everybody around them don't know what women need. So there has to be a consensus in the family about what women need, and that needs to get communicated to everybody. And along with that, if you are in a busy lifestyle where you are not able to make up most of the nutrients through your food, there is no harm in taking supplements as well. But if you don't know what you're not getting through food, how can you supplement? So do not hesitate to take advice of a dietitian or a doctor in making sure that whatever you eat, however you move every single day, is taking a step towards your health and not taking a step away from your health towards a disease. So make sure that if you can't make time for many complex things, just give yourself enough time for hydration, sleep, managing stress, some physical activity, and nutrition on a daily basis. So these are the 5 things that one needs to manage and can be done very easily. While I was preparing, I also conduct sessions for different corporates based upon different health related subjects. And while I was preparing for one such session, which was addressing the topic of how food can affect your mood. So the different foods that you eat, how can it control your mental health? This was the topic that I was researching upon. And I also came across a lot of different researches and talks. And the common thread behind all of these was, like, after so many decades of research and after how so many research done, why is there not an answer to what is a single best diet for human beings? Now we have been doing research on different diseases, research on different health conditions, but nobody can answer that what is the single best diet for human beings. And the reason behind that is because there is no one diet that can suit everybody. The diet has to be personalized as per different people's needs, goals, etc. So one of the major trends in the nutrition field right now is personalized nutrition or precision nutrition, which means that based on a person's, now there are different ways to personalize diets. Some do it based upon DNA samples. Some do it in the Western world. It is done more based upon the gut microbiome sample. That means they take your gut bacteria, take a sample of that, and based on that, they tell you that what foods will raise your blood sugars and what foods will not. It's not like rice will raise everybody's blood sugar or banana will raise everybody's blood sugar. There still are people who can tolerate rice very well without spiking their blood sugars. So personalized nutrition is going to be a major trend. Now, right now, we may not have it as commonly available in India, but what is definitely available is different dietitians, nutritionists, etc., who do take up the pain to go through your entire case and then personalize your diet for you based upon your health status, goals, and your likes and dislikes, etc. So this is going to be a major trend, personalized nutrition. Another trend I would say is that we have now seen a lot of trends like vegan diet, keto diets, low carb diets, high protein diets, etc. But there is not a single diet which I would say has survived all these times. That there is a new trend coming up every year. So one trend which I think will stay in future as well is, no matter whether you are a vegetarian, vegan, non-vegetarian, or you follow any other flexitarian pattern, being plant forward is the way to go, which means when you look at your plate, a lot of your plate should be coming from plant based sources. It is okay to have meat, it is okay to have milk based or animal based produce on your plate, but most of it should be plant based. So irrespective of where you get your other nutrients from, a lot of fresh fruits, vegetables, produce, whole grains, nuts and seeds should become a part of every diet. So I would say being plant forward is one trend that will be big in the future and which we should all also be following for our good health. And another thing is alternate sources of protein. Now we have most likely been eating either animal based sources like meat, poultry, fish, etc., or plant based sources which are different pulses, different dals, etc. But now there is somewhere there is a I think cross between the two, where people who want to go plant based but do not want to eat animal based proteins. There are proteins which are made from plants, but they mock the texture and the nutritional value of an animal based produce, like mock meats or vegan eggs, etc. So this can also be a big trend in the future. Now whether or not it is actually good for your health will have to be evaluated with research. Like if you make a vegan egg using a lot of different chemicals to give it that texture and taste and flavor, but an egg is just an egg with one ingredient, but your vegan egg has so many different ingredients, chemicals, preservatives, etc., then is it really helping your health? Same way, even in case of different burger patties or meat which is mimicking the regular meat, if it is made using a lot of different processing and chemicals to give it that texture, taste, flavor, etc., then is it really adding to your health? So that could also be a major trend coming up in the future.